is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. Six Nations is just around the corner. We're running out of time, which means we need to do a bit of a yearly tradition that we've done in the past, the prediction for the winner of the Six Nations. This is where we go through every game in the tournament, picking a winner, loser, bonus points either way, and then finally creating a table for my prediction of what happens in the Six Nations. Then after it's over, we'll go back, look at the video and realise just how wrong I actually was. Because of course it is the Six Nations, anything can happen, so it's actually quite hard to predict as you go through, but we'll do our best. Starting out then with the odds that have been attached to each team. Now France initially were actually the favourites going into this. Back in December, France were ahead in terms of the odds. It has over the course of December into January switched up. At one point they were completely even. It went massively in favour of Ireland, and now those odds are beginning to get a little bit more even again. So Ireland are the favourites this year on 11-8, so sort of your 1.5 to 1 if you want to think of it like that. France on 7-4, so just under a 2 to 1. England on a 4 to 1, which did surprise me a little bit. England didn't exactly have a great Six Nations last year. Under new management, short amount of time for this team to get gelled together. Was a little bit surprised by how much separation there is between England at 4 to 1 and Wales on 12 to 1, along with Scotland on 20 to 1. Personally, I thought those three actually might be a little bit closer together, given, you know, Wales and England, new coaching staff. Neither team had a great Six Nations last year. Scotland having some good wins over the last couple of years in the Six Nations. I expected those to be a bit more condensed down. And then finally, Italy out there on their 500 to 1. Poor old Italy just never having those odds in their favour. I will say off the bat, stats are taken from Sky Bet as of the day of recording. Of course, it could always change in case there's any injuries or big rugby news before the tournament actually starts. Now, something else to talk about here is the Grand Slam odds. Now, while there is sort of a clear 1 to 6 there of who's the favourite going to the least favourites, the Grand Slam odds are actually relatively close between the top two. Ireland on 3 to 1, France on 7 to 2. Basically 3 to 1, it's pretty close. England out there on 9 to 1, Wales on 28 to 1, and Scotland 66 to 1. 2,000 to 1 to Italy. I don't think anyone's unfortunately expecting Italy to have a Grand Slam, but let me say, the year that Italy finally managed to make that extra shift and end up taking the Six Nations, there's some big money to be won there. But very interesting that two teams out there for very similar odds for a Grand Slam win. It seems like the betting companies are thinking that basically whoever wins that match could be looking at a Six Nations Grand Slam. Very close between those two teams. Also interesting, just to point out before we get into the actual matches, both teams, the two favourites going into this of France and Ireland, are two teams this year where they're playing 3 away games each. So technically it's sort of like their bad years in terms of the home and away advantage, but both of them out there on the start. So we'll move on to talk about the rounds then and who we think is going to win each game. I'll head this off in the past and say, of course, this is a prediction. It's all a bit of fun. Anything could change. It's the Six Nations. We could have massive injuries, red cards, banning players, massive things could shift up. It's all a bit of a laugh. Some people do take it a bit too seriously down in the comments and come back at round 4 to have a massive go at me at why I got a game wrong. I'm not a soothsayer. I can't see the future. It's all predictions. It's all a bit of a laugh. So, starting out with round 1. 3 big games to open up this Six Nations. So, starting out with Wales versus Ireland. Now, last year, of course, Ireland just demolished Wales. That was a very painful game to watch for me. But Ireland absolutely exceptional this time. They're going over to Wales this year. Wales back under Gatland as coach. A lot of people very excited to see what he brings in. One of the things that I'm a little bit more concerned about with this Wales team is not having someone like Sean Edwards back in the defensive side. Now, Gatland knows these players. I'm expecting a pretty Gatland team to come out for Wales. But Ireland are looking very good at the minute. They had such a good year last year. Ended as world number ones. So for me here, I've gone the prediction of an Ireland win, not a bonus point. I don't think they'll get 4 tries. I think Wales will want to make a bit of a standing ground in this first game, but I think Ireland will muscle them out. I've also not gone for a losing bonus point for Wales. I'm not sure whether they'll keep it within 7. On to the second game, England versus Scotland. A real big fixture, this one. Scotland have had a pretty good win record recently. Going from 2018 onwards, England have only won 1 of these fixtures. There was, of course, a draw in one of the years, but Scotland have had a relatively good run form for the last few years in terms of this fixture. Now, England under the new management team, They're going to want to start out strong. They are playing in Twickenham. I think there's an advantage there. Scotland coming in, probably the more gelled team, probably going to get in with a good start here. I can see this game potentially being a bit of a low-scoring game. I am going to go for an England win. But I am also going to go for a Scotland bonus point here for keeping it within 7. I think we could see a bit of a tight-knit affair in that one. I just think the home advantage, I think this will be a bit of a target game for England just to set themselves up right, so I'm going to go for an England win. Third and final game of round 1 then, Italy versus France over in the Stadio Olimpico. Oh man, a tough one here because as much as Italy have been improving, we saw them beat Wales last year in the Six Nations, they beat Australia as well over the international season. France at the minute, though, just looking really good. So even with the home advantage for me, I'm leaning towards a French win here. And I think they know they're up against it, France, this year. I think they've got a couple of tough games coming up. I'm also going to call a bonus point here. I think France will take this as the opportunity to try and set their Six Nations off on the front foot, get as many points from one game as you can. So I'm going to go for France with a winning and a bonus point. Round 2 then, arguably, for me, the game that decides the Six Nations, personally, Ireland versus France over in Ireland. This was a weird one last year. Now, I did call an Ireland win last year, and a lot of people seemed really surprised by that. They really didn't think Ireland were going to be that on the cards for last year's Six Nations. They won 4 of the 5 games. They only lost to France in what was probably their worst game of the Six Nations, to be fair. So now going over to Ireland, having that home advantage, this is a real big game for Ireland. I don't know if you'll be seeing the tries opening up in this game. I imagine this is a win the Six Nations sort of game. Do it by any means necessary. I'm going to go for an Ireland win. I think that home advantage, try and stamp themselves down on the Six Nations. I'm going for an Ireland win. I am, however, going to go for a France losing bonus point. I think they're going to be incredibly close in this game. I could see this one going 2-3 points either way, but that's how I'm going to stick with it. Second game of the weekend, Scotland versus Wales. Now, Wales have had a good run of form against Scotland for a number of years, to be fair. Wales always seem to just have something that just outshines Scotland that little bit in a match. Heading over to Scotland this year, if this one was being played in Wales, I would call Wales for this win here. This will be a bit of a target game, I think, for Wales to really consider when going into the Six Nations. But I think Scotland have been gradually getting closer and closer to having that win over Wales. Maybe a bit of a disjointed team, new coaches coming in, new players coming in. There's a couple of injuries on that list as well who may or may not be fit for this game. I'm going to give Scotland here the win. This one might be a bit of an upset. I know a lot of people probably have Wales as favourites this one. I'm going to go for a Scotland win here. And I'm going to say Wales with a losing bonus point. I can imagine that one being close. I don't know if I see the team getting 4 tries. I think that might be a bit too far. I can maybe see both these teams getting towards the low-end 20s, shall we say, in terms of points. But I'm going to call the Scottish win there. England versus Italy. Now, this game, England did extremely well last year over in Italy. This year in Twickenham, 2 games on the bounce for them in Twickenham, which they'll be very happy with. Training sessions, I think they'll go into this one very fresh-faced. Italy will have just come off the back of playing France as well. I can see England trying to make the most of this game. I'm going to go for an England win here with a bonus point. I can see the 4 tries coming. I think this one might actually be a bit of an open game. This one might see a couple of tries for both teams coming in, actually, but I am not going to say a bonus point for Italy. I don't see them keeping it within 7 or scoring the 4 tries, so that's how we'll stay for round 2. Round 3, after the week break that we of course have, so teams have time to recover, fly to where they need to fly to. Italy versus Ireland. Again, I think Ireland will have come off the back of that win against France, and they know it's just a case now of trying to seal this out. I think they'll know they've got a couple of tough games coming up after this one. So going up against Italy, I can see them wanting to just try and hold as many points going into the tournament as they can. I'm going to go for an Ireland win with a bonus point. I think they'll be just targeting tries in this game, just trying to seal that one out. Not a losing bonus point for Italy either. I really think they're going to have a bit of a tough time bouncing back from France just to face Ireland again. But I really hope Italy do well in that game to try and keep that Six Nations momentum going they had from last year. Wales versus England. What a big game this is set out to be. Gatlin back on the Wales side. A new coach is coming over for England as well. This, to me, is a game I see Wales targeting the most. There is an added pressure in Wales with terms of the rugby that the Welsh media and public expectation comes down. One of the biggest games you'll probably come across in Wales for the rugby is a Wales-England fixture, and playing in Wales, Gatland's first chance back with this coach team to play England. This is a game we could well be seeing at the World Cup as well. This, for me, is an absolute target game for Wales. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the main one where they want to take away from this one. So I'm going to go for a Wales win here, but I am going to say a England losing bonus point. I don't think either team will get to their 4 tries, but I just think Wales might pip them in terms of the points. Final game of the weekend then, France versus Scotland. Again, a fixture that's sort of flip-flop in the last few years. France won this relatively convincingly last year. The year before, we had Scotland having a great game against France. This time round, again, I'm thinking more off the back of, has they lost to Ireland already? They've got to reclaim as many points as possible. I'm going to go for a France win here with a bonus point. I can see this game potentially being Scotland kicking a lot of threes, trying to keep the scoreboard ticking, and France just targeting those tries, needing that bonus point for the 4 tries being scored. So winning, bonus point going to France. I'm just going to say a Scotland loss. I'm not going to say the bonus point. I think it might be something like 10-12 by the end of the game. Round 4 then, Italy versus Wales. Of course, one of the big fixtures from last year, Italy getting that win over Wales. I think this is a game the Wales team need to bounce back from. I think this is the game Italy target, to be honest. I really feel like Italy will try and double down this year on this. I actually think this one will be a bit closer than people are expecting it to be. I think Wales might be a bit shaky, just wanting to make sure they get the win. You don't want to have that double loss in a row to Italy, especially under Gatland coming back. Italy will target this game. I'm going to lean towards a Wales win, not a bonus point. I'm going to say just a Wales win, but I think they will just extend past Italy just that little bit too far. I'm thinking like 9-10 points, so I'm not going to give the losing bonus point to Italy, but I think that's the one Italy will target, one of the hardest ones over the Six Nations. Game 2, England versus France over in Twickenham. Big game. Both teams going to need to play hard here. This one could be a fun one for England to try and have a crack at, to be fair. Third home game out of the 4 weeks for England at this point. They'll be wanting to go into this pretty hard. I can see this being quite an aggressive game. Another one where I don't think you'll be seeing tries being scored in inordinate amounts. A lot of 3 points being taken here. This will be about trying to secure a win for both teams, I think. I am going to give the win towards France. I think for this one, I think France just might have the edge in that in terms of the defence to not concede points. But I think if England go for those 3 points, you could see this going the other way here. So I'm going to go for a France win, not with a bonus point, and an England loss, also not with a bonus point. Let's go for that. Let's make it a bit interesting in terms of the predictions. Final one, Scotland versus Ireland. And this could be one Ireland could be worried about. This is one of those games that sort of flies under the radar a bit, but they're always very fun games to watch in terms of the Six Nations. Scotland versus Ireland. I think this is a real key game for Scotland to target. This is a game we will be seeing at the World Cup. It will happen. This could potentially be get out of the pool stages. If you want to test where you're at in terms of rugby leading towards that World Cup, this is the one. This is the game. I think Scotland will go for this hard. And I think Ireland will also know that, so they won't be trying to do anything fancy in this game. This will be a key of just win the game, I think. So I'm going to go for an Ireland win. I'm going to go for an Ireland win over Scotland, even though I think Scotland will have a good crack at this. And there won't be a bonus point for Ireland at this point. I'm going to say a Scotland loss and not a losing bonus point. I bet it'll be just out. That's what I'm going for, like an 8 or a 9 points. I bet they'll be just off. I bet the boot of Sexton will just keep Ireland just adrift that little bit too much. That's what I'm going to go for. Weirdly, round 4, all home team losses. That doesn't sound very likely now that I'm looking back at it. Hey, that's the joy of doing these videos. We never know what we're going to get. Round 5. Scotland versus Italy. This is a big game that Scotland, I'm sure, will want to take as many points as they can from it. I think, again, another one for Italy to target here. An away game against Scotland. They had the win over Wales last year. This could be another one for them to try and get into. I'm going to go for a win for Scotland. They'll there could be a bonus point here. There could be a bonus point. I'll make it interesting and say not a bonus point. But I think there could be, actually. And Italy, I'm just going to say a loss. No bonus point for them. Unfortunately, I feel like I'm still being a bit mean to Italy. Italy have improved so much recently. It's still really hard to gauge consistency-wise, though, how well they're going to do in some of those games. You've got them beating Wales and Australia last year, but then having a terrible game against England. It's quite hard to judge where Italy are at, so I look forward to see them hopefully getting a few upsets from these predictions. France versus Wales over in France. Tough game. There's been some interesting fixtures between these two in the past over in France as well, where Wales have sort of stolen some games out. France at this point, I think, are trailing in the points. I think they're trailing in the Six Nations, given what I've said about other predictions. Major game for France here. Need to make the most of it. I'm going to go for a France win with a bonus point. And, you know, Gatland versus Sean Edwards. Man, there's some exciting things going on in this game. But I do think Wales will lose this one. I'm not going to say a losing bonus point either. I'm just going to stick with France for the win with the bonus point. And then finally, Ireland versus England. Imagine if England can get a nice little upset here. This could potentially be leading towards France taking this Six Nations. For me here, I think this would just be Ireland just playing the game. At this point, if you've won the 4, all you need to do is win the 5th. Suddenly try bonus points don't matter. Nothing matters. Nothing is important bar just getting over that finish line. Drop goals, penalties, just keep hitting threes every opportunity you get. I'm going to go for an Ireland win. No winning bonus point at all. I don't think they'd ever go for the 4 tries in that one. They just want to seal it out. And England to lose. Do they get a losing bonus point there? They might. Oh, they might. No, go on. Let's keep it. No, let's say no. I'm going to say no losing bonus point. I'm going to say Ireland are just going to punish them with the kicks. That'll be my prediction for round 5. So in terms of how it looks on the scoreboard then, I've just quickly gone through and tallied up all the scores to see how it works out. So this is my table by the end of it, if those predictions happen, which they never do. That's not how it works. So I've gone for an Ireland Grand Slam here. Only 1 bonus point. Interesting, considering how much I think they're going to impress this year. Only 1 bonus point for them, finishing on that 24 total points. France winning those 4 games, losing 1, which I believe probably going to be against Ireland. Did get 4 bonus points, though, across my predictions. Interesting. So pulls them to a close one on 20 points. England, Scotland, and Wales all winning 2 and losing 3. Sort of losing to each other, actually. I've not really thought about that as I was doing it. The bonus points take England just ahead onto that 10 points. Scotland and Wales finishing on the exact same amount of points. And I've ordered them this way around because I think Scotland might have a slightly higher points differential. So I've gone for Scotland to finish 4th there, Wales to finish 5th. I could see that swapping round potentially as the tournament goes on. And finally, unfortunately, Italy down there in 6th place. But I really hope I'm wrong. I really want to see Italy improve. I really want to see them move on into bigger and better things across the Six Nations. But there we have it, guys. That is going to be my prediction video. Make sure you guys drop down in the comment section who you think is going to win, or your 1 to 6, how you think the teams are going to finish. It's all a bit of fun. It's nice to see. Keep the comments lighthearted. It's just nice to see what other people think. And if you've enjoyed this one today, make sure to leave this video a like. And after the Six Nations is over, I will be coming back to look at how badly my predictions went. So that'll be another video. So make sure you are subscribed to keep up to date with all the latest videos as they come out. I'll see you all next time, guys. Bye-bye.